Welcome back to the Ball Don't Lie podcast presented by Horizon Media. I'm Jacob Fraser and I'll be hosting this episode. Today I'm joined by Cam Connolly and we're going to be recapping the NBA Finals, talking about some of the recent moves around the league and taking a look at the upcoming NBA draft. Before we get into it, Cam, how's it going?
Good, man. Good. Still in a little bit of emotional recovery after that game seven, but I'm recovered a little bit. I'm good enough now.
So I take it you were wanting the Pacers to win?
Uh, I was more of a spectator. I just wanted to see a good game, but I was just after the first 7 minute mark when Hallie went down. It was just hard. Like it just made me feel sick.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we did our playoff preview before the playoffs had started, and I think I was OKC all the way, but I by the time this finals went to game 7, I really wanted to see just a great game. This was one of the better finals I can remember in the last few years. So I was just excited to watch a good basketball game, and it's just so unfortunate to see Tyrese Halliburton go down like that in that moment. He was having a great game up to that point too. It kind of looked like the Pacers could be winning that game if Halliburton doesn't go down. What were your thoughts on game 7 and then just the series as a whole?
I kind of have two thoughts. One is Hallie, man. I mean, this has been thrown around a lot everywhere, but he was about to have a generational game. 3 for 4 from he shot from the logo like every single time, and that was not even touching the net. Like it was as pure as it got. I was so ready. I was sitting there with a few of my buddies, and man, when he went down, I just thought it was a nothing play. Like he's fallen, and he literally fell in that exact same spot in Game 5. I mean, it was the play that strained his calf, but it felt like a nothing play. But kind of something I wanted to touch on in Game 7 is TJ McConnell actually, in my opinion, had a terrible game, right? Everyone is talking about him like he's like the best thing to ever happen to Indiana since Tyrese Halliburton. But everyone is overlooking the 7 crucial turnovers that he had. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm the only person in the world with this take. I haven't seen anyone with this take. Everyone I bring this up to just defends him like he's their like little brother or something. Like, in my opinion, outside of a 5 minute stretch in the third quarter, TJ McConnell was one of the worst pacers on the floor.
Yeah, I don't know. I think just the moment and what he was able to do. Like I thought he had a really good series overall. Like every time
Oh,
he
I'm
came
not. I'm
onto the
not trying to
floor,
argue that he had a bad series. I just think he had an overhyped Game 7. His Game 7 was mediocre at best. I think it was terrible, personally.
yeah, I think that's fair, but I think you got to give him his flowers too. Like he did have a good series, and he was one of the like no one expected anything out of TJ McConnell, obviously. And he came in and he did rise to the occasion. Yeah, he had some crucial turnovers, like you said, but in the end, like they were asking a lot out of him, and I feel like he did deliver as best as he could in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, I was that 5 minute stretch. I will say that was a magical stretch, but just he went in. He was trying to do too much in the first half. After Hallie got hurt, he was still trying to do too much, and then he's forcing all these terrible looks. He's trying to force all these passes inside, and he just kept turning the ball over. I don't know. I kind of think that if he just wasn't in the game, you could even say they tried to run it through Nemhard even more, or Siakam went ghost in the second half. I think we could have had a better finish, but I don't know. I after on that first half too, I thought Siakam was going to do something special, and we are going to
Mm-hmm.
talk about this Siakam stepping up to fill in for Hallie, but he disappeared. I don't know where he went. I couldn't even tell he was on the floor half the time.
Yeah, I once Halliburton went down, I was expecting a lot more out of Siakam as well. Like I thought, he was gunning for Finals MVP there, and they were going to be able to actually pull this one off because of how well Pascal Siakam was playing. But yeah, I mean, it was a disappointing finish, I'd say, to what was a very entertaining and exciting final. Like it's nice to see these new teams that we haven't seen in the NBA finals in our lifetime, right? We
Yeah,
get to see these two teams match up against each other. Smaller markets. Adam Silver's been very open about how it's great for these small markets to get a shot in the NBA finals. It is great for the league. Um, yeah, I guess Where do you think these two teams go from here? Like, do you see both of these teams reaching this point again next season, or do you see one of them or both of them falling off?
It's hard to not think that OKC is going to repeat as the champ as where we stand right now. I mean, yes, there's still kind of some uncertainty with how the West is going to play out, but they're just ultimately they're not. They have no expiring contracts, like at least of any key guys, and uh, they're kind of scary. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to say that they're going to get any worse. As for the Pacers, it's hard to see how they're going to even be higher than a 7 seed going into the playoffs next year. You got Siakam still, but you're not going to have Tyrese the whole season, the whole entire season. Be lucky if he's even there in the playoffs, and even at that point, is it worth the risk? I don't think so. So I don't know. I think that we could see kind of a Warriors-esque thing that happens to them. I mean, obviously the Warriors were a great dynasty before Steph went down, Clay went down, Kevin Durant left. But I don't know. I think it was kind of something that kind of went under the radar. I saw a video about this also, but they before I think it was around game 4 or 5, they traded back for their own pick this year. So I think that was one of the flukiest, luckiest things that could have happened to them because now they can afford to tank, they can afford to get a good pick in what is going to be a stacked draft class. Have Hallie come back, have a high draft pick, and then we can see in 2 years them return to where they are now.
Yeah, that'll be definitely interesting to see how it shakes out. I just wanted to touch on OKC real quick. You talk about how they have no expiring contracts. They also own right now the 15th and 24th overall picks in the NBA draft. People are saying that there's been some reports that they want to move into the top 10 of the draft this year. Plus, they have Nikola Topic, who was injured all season, coming in, and he's fully healthy now, set to make his summer league debut um, a couple weeks from now. But yeah, it's crazy to see how deep that team is, man. Like Nikola Topic was a top 3 prospect last year's draft, and then he obviously had the injury. He fell a bit right into OKC's lap, of course. But man, Sam Presti, what a masterclass from the Thunder GM.
Well, when he traded Paul George, the whole joke was, oh, he traded for a bunch of seventh graders. He's loading up on seventh graders. We are seeing the seventh graders now. I mean, what? J Dub was, when that trade happened, J Dub was in the eighth grade, I think, right? Like, we're seeing it happen now in real life. All the memes, all the jokes are coming to life, and OKC is going to be unstoppable from what it seems for a long time, unless the only way I see them losing is Steph Curry turns back the clock next year and just goes ballistic. I think that he is one of the only players on the West that can give him trouble. We'll see how the Rockets turn out, but we'll talk about that later. But it's hard to find a team, especially with no Tatum next year, with no Dame to help Giannis. Like on the East, there's going to be no one, and the Lakers aren't going to do anything. All right, like I can't find anyone that'll give him really any trouble.
Yeah, let's shift over to the Houston Rockets here because they are one of the teams that is on the come up for sure. They were the 2 seed this year and they just added Kevin Durant, who you mentioned earlier was a part of that Warriors dynasty. What do you think, like what's your expectation for the Rockets next year after adding Kevin Durant?
I I mean, this is also another hot take that I haven't seen many people have, but I don't think they're going to be any better. I think that they'll be lucky to make it out of the first round. The West is super deep. You run into an OKC. I don't think Kevin Durant is helping you against an OKC. I think that we've learned our lesson that Kevin Durant can't get it done without another major superstar. And I'm not trying to like come at him for his skill at all. He's one of the most skilled players in the history of the NBA. But it's just I don't know if it's the way he plays or something, but he doesn't elevate the players around him. We saw James Harden and Kyrie Irving. He had those two guys on his team. Yeah, there was some like other stuff going on. At the end of the day, those two guys were on his team, and they didn't even. I can't remember what round it was they lost to the Bucks in, but they never even made the finals. I don't even know if they made the conference finals.
I want to
And
say it was the conference final, yeah.
yeah, but regardless, he had two top 75 teammates on his team of all time and couldn't make it. So you want to tell me that Alperen Schengen, you want to tell me that Amen Thompson are going to help him?
Reed Shepard.
Yeah, Reed Shepard. Hey, David, Reed Shepard is not a good prospect anymore. That guy, one and done, worse than Jimmer Fredette.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think of the trade overall, I guess? Because what was it? It was Jalen Green, 10th overall pick, and Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that was a lot to pay for Kevin Durant just because of where he's at in his career right now. And you're right, he hasn't proven that he can go do it without another superstar on his team, another major superstar on his team. I mean, he had unanimous MVP Steph Curry on his team when he won an NBA championship finally. So, just was it too much for the Rockets to pay? I mean, we also have seen Kevin Durant go to these teams, it doesn't work out, and he's out in a year or two. So is that a possibility with the Rockets here?
I mean, I know that the Suns really, really lacked depth this year, but he had Devin Booker on his team and they didn't even make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So paying Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks, Jalen Green, I mean, he's kind of hit or miss, but Dylan Brooks is a very good switchable wing defender.
Yeah.
And I would argue that Kevin Durant isn't the best defender anymore. I mean, he tore his Achilles, he came back. He's 37, I think. He, it's hard to see how he's going to fit into that system, honestly. You look at a guy like Alperen Schengen, and I really am confused how that fit is going to work, honestly. I don't know how well that's going to work. It could work out perfectly, but I don't see it personally. But I do think it was an overpay. I think that Dylan Brooks is like a unsung kind of guy that you don't realize how much you miss him until he's gone. I mean, you look at Memphis when he was there; they were dominant. They were a 2 seed, maybe a 3 seed, and now they can barely squeak into the playoffs as an 8 seed. And Houston, he goes to Houston, they're a 2 seed. They were a young team. They had a huge turnaround. I mean, they didn't do it the first year, but this year they did it. And now he's going to be gone. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I just was gonna touch on like we've seen Dylan Brooks at the Olympics, at the FIBA World Cup, playing for Team Canada. He is, like you said, he's that guy that you don't realize you miss him until he's not on your team. And I hate Dylan Brooks. He's one of the most hateable guys in the NBA. But when he's suiting up for Team Canada, he's my favorite player because he's so tenacious. He gets in the opponent's head. He is all over their best player, and he's a lockdown defender. So I really like that for the Suns. The Suns needed some wings that can lock down on defense. They got Ryan Dunn, obviously, who was a rookie, who's another one of those lockdown defenders on the wing as well. And I think it's a great fit for the Suns. I saw a post the other day on Twitter. It was Suns depth chart, and it was all shooting guards: Grayson Allen, Jalen Green, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal. Um, they have a lot more to figure out there in Phoenix, but I think this trade puts them on the right track, and that 10th overall pick in this year's draft is going to be someone who can make an impact right away for sure.
And I think it would be a mistake for them to not move on from one of Jalen Green or Devin Booker. And I know a lot of people haven't thrown that around, but I think that if you just look at the state of this team, yes, Devin Booker has been extremely loyal to the city of Phoenix. But at some point, man, you just got to move on. He's gonna raise your floor too high for you to be able to have a serious rebuild. And you've got some good pieces. Next, as I said earlier, this next year's draft class is absolutely stacked. If you can move on from Devin Booker, you have one bad year, you could get a prospect that can change your entire franchise, and you already have all these guys to build around. I don't think Jalen Green and Devin Booker will be able to play on the same team very well. They both. I mean, Jalen Green is Mister 4% from the field, and Devin Booker is a great player, but they both are pure scorers. They both are score first guys. So I don't know. I don't know how it'll fit. I think they should move on from one of them, and I think honestly, I think it should be Devin Booker.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the fit just doesn't work there between Jalen Green and Devin Booker. I know they've been shopping around Bradley Beal. There's been talks of either trading him or a buyout as well. But yeah, if I'm the Suns, I'm looking to blow it up right now. I would honestly even take a look at trading both Jalen Green and Devin Booker. You could get a really, really good return for a guy like Devin Booker. And I think Jalen Green still holds some value as well. You could get a half decent return for him too. And yeah, kickstart that rebuild. And maybe next year you get lucky and you end up with a guy like AJ Devastania in with the number one pick.
Yeah,
Um,
this might be crazy, but maybe OKC wants Devin Booker. I mean, they have a lot of picks. I can see him actually slotting in pretty well there. I mean, he's a great catch and shoot guy. We saw it in the Olympics, and I'm sure he'd be more willing to play a 1B beside Shea than to play a 1A/1B with Jalen Green. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that they should do that, but I was just throwing it out there. Help Phoenix recover some of those lost picks for Kevin Durant.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't mind that fit. I think that would make a lot of sense for OKC as well to bring in a superstar like that to play alongside Shea and J Dub. That would be the best big three in the NBA right away. Um, let's move on to the most recent trade that just happened. About an hour ago, Shams tweeted that the Wizards have traded Jordan Poole for CJ McCollum. There's some other pieces in there: Kelly Olynyk, Sadiq Bey, and just some second round picks. What do you think about the Wizards' move here to bring in an older veteran like CJ McCollum and move off of Jordan Poole?
My very first thought was, oh, now I'm blanking on his name. The Who's the guy falling in the draft? I'm
Ace
blanking.
Bailey.
So Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey has said he doesn't want to go anywhere where he doesn't have a direct path to being a superstar. So my first thought is they're moving off of Jordan Poole so they can give Ace Bailey what he wants and give him a direct path to becoming a superstar. Do I think that's the right decision? I don't know. I mean, I've seen a lot of things I don't like about Ace Bailey's game. But at the end of the day, I mean, if you put him beside Alex Sarr and you bring in a guy like CJ McCollum to kind of direct him, and I mean, he was never a star, but he's played with lots of great stars. It's intriguing, and I'm very curious how it's going to work out. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the Wizards' move here. Just Jordan Poole, like he's never going to be the guy that gets it done for you. I don't think. Like if they want to really start this rebuild, I think CJ McCollum's a good veteran to bring in. You've got Chris Middleton there as well. Um, and yeah, like you pair them with your younger guys like Alex Sarr, like you mentioned. Bilal Koulibaly is a good prospect. Bub Carrington's another guy that I really like. And yeah, I mean, we're gonna get into Ace Bailey a little bit later on. Not exactly a fan of what he's doing in this year's draft, but I don't mind the move. I think this is just two mid teams trading mid players. It's not really gonna move the needle. It's not going to make the Pelicans much better. It's not going to make the Wizards much worse, in my opinion. So,
I mean,
um,
I think it does raise the potential ceiling of the Pelicans more than it does anything for the Wizards. But the Pelicans team, the freakiest team in the NBA now.
we'll shift over to a deal that was made yesterday. Drew Holiday to the Portland Trailblazers for Anthony Simons plus some picks there as well. We were talking about this trade a little bit before we started recording here. I don't understand this trade for the Portland Trailblazers. Bringing in a guy like Drew Holiday and you're moving off of Anthony Simons. I get that they were a little bit heavy at the shooting guard position, kind of like the Phoenix Suns we were just talking about. And it's always good to bring in a veteran guy like Drew Holiday, but trading a piece like Anthony Simons, I think doesn't make a ton of sense for that team right now.
No, and the only way that I can kind of justify it in my head is if they just didn't see the timeline of Anthony Simon's development, kind of pairing up with timeline of them thinking that they're a contender. Because let's be honest, they're going to be a bottom feeder for a lot longer. They don't really have anything crazy going on. Scoot Henderson really isn't panning out like how anyone had thought. I mean, I thought he might be better than Wemby when the draft started. I guess I should never say another word, but I don't know. I mean, from the perspective of the Portland GM, maybe you're just trying to sell high, but then again, you didn't get a sell high return. You got Drew Holiday, who, I mean, he's a good player, but he I don't know, like he doesn't do anything special. He's a great defender, but he's not in his prime anymore. He's kind of old by NBA standards, but. I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard deal to wrap my head around, honestly. And then just bailed out Boston. You gave Boston another great player.
Yeah, like I said, I don't understand this deal. I mean, maybe you're looking to sell, like you said, sell high on Anthony Simons now, and then maybe you sell Drew Holiday at the deadline next season or during some point during next season to bring in some more draft capital. But yeah, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me for the Trailblazers. The Celtics, like you said, they bring in a good player. They're another team that is a little bit guard heavy, but I I don't think the fit really makes a ton of sense for the Celtics either. Anthony Simons is a good scorer. He's kind of that pure scorer as well, but yeah, I don't
I
see
mean,
that fit being a
I
big needle mover for them.
I wouldn't have saw the fit if Tatum was healthy, but with an injured Tatum, I mean, I know they don't play the same position, but maybe they're trying to
Mhm.
replace some of that scoring. But I mean, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless they have more moves panned out. I mean, I know that I can't remember a tweet. It might have been Shams said that they're not done making moves. They're still looking to, they're still shopping stars. I saw one source say that they're shopping Jalen Brown. Who knows how true that is? That'd be interesting. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't know. I don't know what you think about this, but Boston, I don't know if they should really be going into panic mode. Like they still have a really good team. They have a lot of good depth. They're not going to be like a title contender. They could still make a run at the title next year without Tatum. But I don't know. It's obviously not going to happen. But then again, Tatum will be back. Like and back in the day, this ACL injury, was ACL or Achilles? I always mix it up.
I actually can't remember. I mix it up all the time as well.
Yeah, I think it was Achilles. I'm pretty sure it was Achilles. But back in the day, Achilles injuries were like career defining. But now with modern medicine and how it's evolved, it's still a threat, but it's not as persistent of a threat. You're going to have Tatum back at least 95%, I'd like to say, of what he was.
Yeah.
So why panic? Why move off your core like people are saying? That doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me either. I think without Tatum, you're still looking at a play-in team next year, especially just with at minimum a play-in team, especially just with how bad the East is right now. Um, yeah, I, I don't know. Like you said, doesn't make a ton of sense to go into panic mode, but yeah, I could see them trying to replace some of that scoring with Anthony Simons. I think that was a really good point. We'll shift over to the draft now. Obviously, we're recording on Tuesday, June 24th. The draft is tomorrow night. The first person I wanted to talk about was Ace Bailey. I just kind of want to go on a little bit of a rant here. I'm not a fan of these 19, 20-year-old kids coming into the league deciding who's going to draft them. I think, like, first of all, it defeats the whole purpose of the draft. We might as well have free agency if that's how this is going to be every year. There seems to be always one or two guys in every draft that refuse to do workouts with teams, refuse to interview with teams, refuse to play for teams because they don't see a fit. I think Philadelphia for Ace Bailey would be a perfect fit for him to come into the league. He's got Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey. He can come in, be the third option. He doesn't have to be that superstar right away, but he can grow into that. He can be he'll start for that team next year and he'll be their third option.
And
Maybe
George.
sorry.
And learn from Paul George.
Exactly. Like I can't see a better fit for Ace Bailey. And he's just decided that because he's not the number one option, if he's the number one option on a team, he's not going to have much success right away because the every other team that they're playing against are just going to focus in on him and he's going to average 12 to 15 points a game, sure, but he might be shooting at 38%. It drives me nuts. Like I think going to a team where you're going to be the third option, you can learn to just be a pro. Learn from a guy like Joel Embiid, a guy like Paul George, a guy like Tyrese Maxey, and then develop
And,
into that star that he wants to be.
and someone who had a super successful rookie season while it lasted in Jared McCain as well.
Exactly. Like I see the 76ers as an ideal fit for a player like Ace Bailey. So if he wants to go to the Washington Wizards, go to that poverty franchise, be the number one guy, and end up getting AJ Debastania next year, then be my guest. Now you're not the superstar anymore. They're going to focus on AJ, not you. Like I really hate this. I think it defeats the purpose of the draft. I think it ruins the night for, like, this is a night that these guys have dreamt about since they were little kids. And it just kind of puts a damper on the whole event, on the whole night. Now he's going to be waiting to hear his name called till 6. Maybe teams are looking at this as character issues as well, and he slides even further. Like, he's ruining his chances at being a top 3 pick in the NBA draft, and I think it's just sad to see and frustrating from a fan standpoint. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
I have two thoughts. One, in the NBA, the difference between first pick, second pick, third pick, fourth pick, fifth pick, the salary difference, it's not insignificant. I mean, obviously they're making a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
but how Ace Bailey can look at what my goat Shador Sanders did and think I'm gonna do the same thing is just baffling. Shador Sanders should have been a first round pick. I mean, it's no question that it had to do with his interviews, had to do with his workouts. That he did it to himself. And Ace Bailey looked at that and said, "That's the recipe I want to follow." It's baffling. I mean, I think about it. The Raptors pick at 9. Would I want them to pick Ace Bailey if he slides? Probably not. Like he's the kind of guy that, oh, I don't want to go to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, like it I don't know, what are you doing, man? You're leaving millions of dollars on the table. Why? Because you don't want to not take 25 shots a game, bro? Like you're a professional player. I would, if I was a rookie, I'd want to go to the easiest possible scenario where I can learn the most, can take the most shots, and I can have the most freedom. You go be a superstar right away, you're not going to have any freedom. You're going to have the best defender on you every single time, and you're gonna hinder your own development by because you're not being able to learn from someone who knows what they're doing. It it blows my mind, and I mean, I'm sure you can write essays about this, and there's so many studies that you can probably do. But my two opinions: one, bad advice, family member, agent, someone, and two, it's AAU culture. It's AAU culture. Ace, you're the best. Ace Bailey, oh my God, Ace Bailey, yo, Ace Bailey, let me make a mixtape for you. Oh, Ace Bailey, come play over here, man. You're the best. I'll pay for your flights. I'll pay for everything. And now he wants to go somewhere. He doesn't want to hear the hard truth anymore. It's a shame. It's a huge issue that's happening with youth basketball, and this is what it's creating. It's never a European guy doing this,
Mm-hmm.
and if it is, it's a one-off, right? It's always an American guy who was a five-star prospect his whole entire life, thinks that everything can be handed to him, and then we get these situations. And I bet you he won't pan out to be much. I mean, you watch his game. What does he do? He's lazy on defense. His hands aren't up. He gets bumped off his spots every single time. He's a volume shooter. If he's not shooting, he's just going to get subbed out. It's the pro leagues, man. These coaches they're coaching for their careers. They're coaching for this is their livelihood, right? This isn't Rutgers where your coach is locked down forever and you can kind of do whatever he wants. If he wants to leave, it's up to him, right? This is the National Basketball Association where you have to play within a system and you can't shoot a million shots unless your name is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, unless your name is Steph Curry, unless your name is LeBron James. Like obviously there's a few other guys, but you can't just do whatever you want. I don't know. But
Well, and you mentioned those names. Those guys didn't come into the league shooting as many shots as they wanted either. It took like a few years to prove themselves before they ended up getting that opportunity. And yeah, I and we talk about Rutgers. He decided to go to Rutgers with Dylan Harper. Like, he wasn't the number one guy at Rutgers. So what's this thinking? Like, you're not the number one guy on a team that didn't make the tournament, and all of a sudden you think you can come to the best league in the world and be the number one guy? It doesn't make any sense.
how'd you do when Dylan Harper wasn't playing and you were the first option? Not well.
Exactly.
Not
Yeah.
well. How'd that game against UCLA go? Not well.
We'll switch off of Ace Bailey here. Who's your favorite player in the draft? I mean, Cooper Flag obviously is seen as a generational prospect by a lot of people, but outside of, I guess, let's say outside of the top 3, who's your favorite player in this year's draft?
I like Paman Maluach. I think that I mean, I like him and I like Liam McNeely as well. It's pretty much a toss up. I think that the Raptors have a real chance to get Kama Malawach, especially with Trump doing his thing, banning all South Sudanese people from getting visas. I think it actually makes more sense now for him to come to the Raptors, and I think the other teams might just throw their hands up and just pass on him because there's not that same restriction in Canada. Rare time being Canadian is an advantage, but I really like Liam McNeely as well. I think he's going to be a pro right away. I think that he plays the game the right way. He listens. I mean, I've obviously never met him in real life, but from what I see, he appears to be extremely coachable. He can shoot the ball decently well. I mean, he has his moments, but I think those are my two guys: Common Malawach and Liam McNeely.
Yeah, I one guy that I really like is Kasparis Yakisonis, point guard out of Illinois. I think he's a triple double threat. I mean, I kind of comp him to a lesser Luka. He's definitely not going to be the superstar that Luka Doncic is, but I mean, the value that you can get out of him at around pick 10, which I've seen a lot of mock drafts have him going around 10 to 13. Um, I think he's going to jump in and be a very impactful player right away. He's a big point guard, 6'6". Yeah, I just really like the player. He can do everything. And yeah, I like Kaman Malawach as well, but I also really like Derek Queen. I think Derek Queen to be successful, he has to go to a team that's going to allow him to kind of be that point center, kind of like a Jokic. But um, yeah, I think just what he can do off the dribble as big and his playmaking ability, his scoring ability, he doesn't have that 3-point shot yet, but that's something that I think he can develop because he has good touch around the rim. He's got a good mid range game. So I really like Derek Queen. But who would be your sleeper in this year's draft? Guy that you think is going late first round that you think can be impactful right away, or someone that you think can develop into a big time player?
Walter Clayton Jr. I think that there's a whole taboo about drafting guys who are older, and I think that every year we kind of learn that that taboo is there. I mean, sure, their ceiling isn't as high, but I mean, how do you watch that run and not think this guy can make an immediate impact in the league, right? Like he can score. He's a great point guard. He was the point guard on the team that won the national championship, dominated all year. If you're a team that needs immediate help, like he can be an immediate help at point guard. And maybe he won't be a starting point guard right away. I mean, I'm assuming he probably won't. We look at a team like even the Pacers, like I was mentioning. I mean, I guess they traded off their first round pick, but I mean, Hallie's out. He can be a great 1-2 punch with an Emhard, in my opinion, next year. But I don't know. That's my guy. What about you?
Yeah, I like that shout. I think that'd be a good fit for Walter Clayton to go into Indiana. But my guy is Neek Clifford, the another senior out of Colorado State. I think he's just such a tenacious defender that yeah, maybe he's not going to be a starter necessarily ever in his career, but I could see him being kind of like a Lou Dort kind of guy, which if he can be Lou Dort, then that's great because he is a starter. But I just see him being a 6'5" shooting guard, small forward, tenacious defender, locking down guys. I think he's going to be able to do that right away when he walks into the NBA, and then hopefully he can develop some of his offensive game as well, which he did showcase quite a bit this year at Colorado State. Yeah, I really like Neek Clifford. I think he's going to be a good role player on a good NBA team. Maybe not right away, but within a couple years of being drafted.
Now, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of Ace Bailey, because this is the obvious answer, who do you think has bust written all over them?
Bust written all over them. Um, that's tough. I'm gonna have to take a look. Oh, okay, I got my guy. I think Carter Bryant has bust written all over him. I compare him a lot to Cody Williams. He's kind of this guy that people are really high on because of his ceiling. He's a very raw prospect, but he didn't do anything this year with Arizona. And he also measured in a lot shorter than what he was listed at. He was listed at 6'8". He's measured in at 6'6", which I guess isn't that big of a difference. But to me, a small forward is 6'7" and taller. I mean, you can get away with it being 6'6", but I just I don't see it with Carter Bryant. I don't see the offensive game there. Yeah, he's shown flashes of elite defensive ability, and he's shown that he might have some capability to develop into a good offensive player, but I just haven't seen it this year at Arizona from him. And I think people are too high on the potential there, where I think you could get a much better player, a guy who's going to make more of an impact right away, rather than taking a guy like Carter Bryant, who you're going to need to develop for about 3 or 4 years before he can actually be an impact. And I think in the modern NBA, a lot of teams are giving up on guys after a couple of years where they haven't really panned out. So teams are just like moving off of them or burying them in their depth chart.
It reminds me a lot of when the Bulls took Patrick Williams, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone just kind of was like, he averaged 4 points at Florida State, and I remember I was watching. I was like, "Who the fuck is Patrick Williams?"
Yeah.
And I mean, to this day, he still hasn't panned out. But I mean, it's been what 5 or 6 years now. I still don't know why they took him. But for me, this actually hurts me to say, but I'm either going to be way wrong or way right, and it's Con Knuppel because he is either going to be Reed Shepard or he is going to be everything Reed Shepard was supposed to be. And I think that there's not really an in between. I mean, they're very similar. Con Knuppel has way better measurables. He's taller, he's longer. They had similar. They shot similarly from the field. They have a similar-ish playing style. And I mean, call me racist, but you look at the white guy who's always the white shooter. He never pans out. You look at Jimmer, you look at Reed, you look at Con Knuppel. Oh, maybe Con
I'll throw
Knuppel could
another
break that
name at
system.
you, Corey Kispert.
Yeah, Corey Kispert, exactly. It's it's they never seem to pan out. The white shooter guy who has a pretty good year of college on a championship level team never pans out. And maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. But I'm a fan of Con Knuppel's game. But I'm just worried for him at this level.
Yeah, my comp for Knippel has been Corey Kispert, just because of the similarities. They're both kind of that 6'7" guard forward shooter. Um, I think that Knippel is likely going to have a better career than Corey Kispert. Kispert was like 22, 23 years old when he got drafted. Knippel's a lot younger than that. So there's a lot more time for him to grow. But yeah, I definitely can see some bust potential there as well. He was actually, when you asked me that, he was the guy I looked at. I hesitated, and then I decided to go Carter Bryant. But yeah, I think it it makes sense that he could be that bust potential guy, just because I feel like those shooters are always so hit and miss, because they don't really, like, their only role is going to be shooting in the NBA. Like, you're either going to be making shots or you're not. And it's a big adjustment going from the college three to the NBA three. So, people necessarily don't think that it's as big of an adjustment as it is, but it really is. So, yeah, I can definitely see that being a flop of a pick if he doesn't go to the right team, and if he just isn't able to adjust to that NBA three pointer. Um, I'll throw another name out there just because it just came into my head. Nick Stauskas. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Canadian.
Is he Canadian? Yeah.
Yeah.
What a shame. What a shame. But now I have another question to ask you. I'm a Raptors fan.
Mhm.
You're a Raptors fan. In a perfect
Yeah.
world, who do they take at 9?
I really like the Kaman Malawach fit. I also would like Yakusonis. Like I said, he's one of my favorite players in the draft. I think both those guys would fit in really well. I don't see Derek Queen being a good fit for the Raptors. Just because the way I just don't see him being a good fit with a guy like Scotty Barnes. Like, Barnes is kind of that playmaker, point forward, and so they don't really need a playmaking center. Whereas a guy like Malawach can be just that defensive anchor and rebounder, and like the Raptors aren't going to need a center to put up big points and big assist numbers. They're going to need a center to put up big defensive and rebounding numbers more than anything. So I like that fit a lot. And then Yakusonis, I think the Raptors could really use a playmaking point guard. Um, so I think that would be a good fit there. I also like Jeremiah Fears as well. Who do you think would be a good fit for them?
Yeah, I really hope it's Common Malwatch, but a guy I'm really high on is Liam McNeely. So if they reach, because technically that'd be a little bit of a reach, and they take Liam McNeely, I would not be mad at all. But if Common Malwatch on the board and they don't take him, I will be upset. Unless Cooper Flag somehow falls to pick 9, then I'll do a backflip. But if they're taking a guy like Ace Bailey who's sliding in like a Shador style slide, I do not like that fit at all. I think he would be terrible. So in the perfect world, Common Malawach or Liam McNeely are my two guys that I think could slide in really, really well. Common Malawach, Rudy Gobert type defensive presence. Then Liam McNeely, just a do it all guy. Extreme Lowry. I already glazed him enough this podcast, but yeah.
Before we wrap up here, I wanted to ask you one more question. Just the Dallas Mavericks with Cooper Flag, what do you think the ceiling is for the Dallas Mavericks next season, adding a guy like Cooper Flag to their roster?
It's so tough to say because I really don't know. Like you have AD, you have Cooper Flag now. Kyrie, I'm assuming won't be playing, and if he is, I don't know when he would be back. I mean, ACLs are usually what 9, 10 months. So I guess technically you
Yeah,
could have
around
him
there.
back by February. So they're gonna have to hold it down, and then Clay Thompson will be an interesting pick. Is Gafford still there? I saw him in the news, but I can't remember if he got traded or re-signed.
I don't remember seeing him getting traded, so I would assume he's still there. Let
I
me
mean,
uh let me double check that, but go ahead.
it's hard. It's hard to not say that they're gonna make the playoffs and they could potentially do something, but I don't know how much of that would be because of Cooper Flag and how much of that would be because Anthony Davis is really good at basketball. Now, can he stay healthy is another question. Could we see a situation where Cooper Flag has to carry the entire weight because Kyrie is out and then Anthony Davis goes down off because he stepped on like a feather or something? I don't know. But yeah, I think that their ceiling is probably a 4 seed and their floor is probably like a 12, 13 seed.
Really, you think their floor is missing playoffs?
Well, if Kyrie doesn't come back and AD gets hurt and then Cooper Flag is forced to
Right.
carry the weight on the team and Clay Thompson isn't hitting, then I could see them miss the playoffs. Always
Yeah, I
down
think
for a
that's
reason.
fair. What do you think? I guess so. Ceiling and floor. What do you think is kind of the expectation then for you? Like a play-in team?
I would expect if I was part of the Dallas Mavericks organization, I would expect to be within. I would expect to be in that 7-8 playing game. That would be my goal, and see where I can go from there. But it's just there's a lot of for as good of a fit as this is, there's a lot of variables that are going to happen in this upcoming season. In 2 years, because assuming Kyrie and AD are back, then I think they can go on a serious run. I think they can be a serious contender if Cooper Flag pans out. But next year, I'm not too convinced.
Yeah, I think that'd be a fair assessment. I kind of see them just with how deep the West is. We've talked about it. I see them being a play-in team for sure. Um, Maybe not in that 7-8 game, maybe in that 9-10 game, but yeah, I think it's a great destination for Cooper Flag. We talked about a little bit about how fishy the draft lottery was in the episode that we didn't end up releasing, but it was a little bit fishy there. But yeah, just I think the top three teams are perfect fits for incoming top three picks. Like the San Antonio Spurs is a great fit for number 2 overall pick. I talked about it earlier. 76ers are a great fit for a number 3 pick. Ace Bailey just doesn't agree for some reason. But yeah, I think all 3 of those teams in the top 3 have a shot at being possible play-in, maybe even playoff teams next season.
Sure.
We can wrap up there. Sorry, go ahead before we
I was
wrap.
going to say, and the Wizards are going to be a play-in team in the East next year. Just kidding.
I mean, I could see it. The East is so wide open right now. I could definitely see it.
I'm actually praying the Raptors can go on a run. I think about it every day.
Yeah,
Don't trade RJ Barrett.
Yeah, we didn't touch on that, but there are the rumors of the RJ Barrett being available for trade right now. I would love the Raptors to keep the hometown guy, but if they can bring in someone who can make a bigger impact, sure. But I would rather see the Raptors move Emmanuel quickly than RJ Barrett, to be honest with you.
I'm sorry, one more thing. I know we're trying to wrap up here, but this just came across my phone. Nuggets owner Josh Kroenke randomly mentioned the possibility of trading Jokic at a press conference.
Really?
Reportedly unprovoked. Just some food for thought. Just some food for thought. That would be somehow crazier than the Luka trade, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think they will do it, but if that happened, that would be a huge shakeup to the NBA for sure.
Lakers ownership, Luka's.
We can wrap there.
Yeah, all right.
Maybe Jokic and Luka in LA.
The new ownership, I don't know.
That'd be a good fit. They're buddies.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll wrap there. We'll come back with another episode after the draft at some point, maybe once free agency gets started here, or if there's some big moves before then we might have to do an episode for that. But yeah, thanks for coming on today, Cam, and thank you for listening.